Story 1. The gym was empty, except for the man watching me from the mirrors. You know that feeling when you're so tired that the world starts to feel soft around the edges? Like reality is just a suggestion, and if you blinked hard enough, you might wake up somewhere else entirely? That's where I was at 11:47 on a Tuesday night. Or Wednesday morning. At that hour, the difference stops mattering. I'd been working late again. Not the heroic kind of Latino big presentation, no life-saving deadline. Just the kind where you stare at a spreadsheet for 3 hours because going home means admitting the day is over and tomorrow is already breathing down your neck. My therapist, yes, I have one, don't we all now? Said I should find a physical outlet for stress. So I signed up for a 24-hour gym. The kind with peeling motivational posters on the walls and a smell that's half bleach, half regret. That night, the parking lot was a graveyard of empty spaces. My Subaru looked like a lost puppy under the buzzing orange light. I remember sitting in the car for an extra minute, scrolling through my phone, hoping anyone would text me. No one did. So I grabbed my bag, swiped my key fob, and pushed through the glass doors. The front desk was abandoned. A half-empty protein shake sat next to the register, a thin skin forming on top. The TVs were still on, muted, showing some infomercial about a juicer that could also grate cheese. I signed in on the tablet MSC. 11:48 p.m. and walked toward the locker room. Erase the thing about an empty gym at night. During the day, it's annoying. People grunting, dropping weights, playing their music through phone speakers like sociopaths. But at night, the silence isn't empty. It's occupied. The treadmills sit there like sleeping animals. The cables on the pulley machines sway slightly, even when there's no breeze. The mirrors, God, the mirrors, they don't just reflect. They hold things. I changed in the locker room, and I swear I heard a shower running in the back. Just a faint hiss. I told myself it was the pipes. Old building, bad plumbing. Makes sense, right? Except when I stopped to listen, the hiss stopped too. Like it was waiting to see what I would do. I didn't run. I should have run. But you don't run from things like that, not when you're alone. Because if you run, you're admitting something's there. And if something's there, then you're not alone. And if you're not alone, well, that's a door you can't close. I decided to stick to cardio. The weight room was too far from the entrance. Too many blind corners. The treadmills were in the main area, under the big fluorescent tubes that flickered just often enough to be annoying but not often enough to get replaced. I picked the treadmill in the middle of the row, third from the left. Stupid, I know. Later I'd realized I'd put myself in the worst possible spot. Surrounded on all sides by mirrors, nothing behind me but the wall, and no one to see if something went wrong. I set the pace to a gentle jog. Nothing crazy, just enough to get my heart rate up, burn off the edge. I put my earbuds in, queued up a podcast about unsolved disappearances. Ironic, right? And started moving. For the first 10 minutes, it was fine. Better than fine. The rhythm of my feet, the burn in my calves, the way my brain finally shut the hell up. I was almost enjoying myself. I even smiled at my reflection stupid ponytail, red face, sweat making my shirt stick to my ribs. This is healthy, I thought. This is me taking care of myself. Then I noticed the man in the mirrors. He was standing by the water fountain, not using it, just standing there, facing me. Tall, thin, wearing a gray hoodie with the hood up. I couldn't see his face, just a shadow where his features should be. I told myself he was just another late-night gym person. Maybe he was waiting for me to finish so he could use the treadmill. Maybe he was shy. Maybe he had social anxiety like half the people on the planet. But erase the thing. I hadn't heard the door open, and the front desk was visible from the treadmills. No one had walked past it. I slowed my pace. Not stopped, just reduced. watched him in the mirror. He didn't move, didn't blink as far as I could tell. Just stood there, head slightly tilted, like a dog trying to understand a strange sound. "Hey," I said. My voice came out weird, too loud, then too quiet, echoed off the walls. "You okay?" No response. I pulled out one earbud. The gym was silent except for the whir of the treadmill belt and my own breathing. Even the podcast had stopped. Me phone had frozen. The screen stuck on a frame of a forest at night. "Hello?" I tried again, louder this time. The man took a step forward. Not toward me exactly, toward the mirrors. He walked until he was right up against the wall of mirrors by the stretching area, and then he just stood there, reflected from a dozen angles. I saw his profile, his back, his front, all at once. And in every single reflection, his face was the same. Not shadowed, just missing, like someone had erased it and forgotten to draw it back in. I hit the emergency stop on the treadmill. The belt lurched, and I stumbled forward, catching myself on the handlebars. When I looked back at the mirrors, the man was gone. No, that's not right. He wasn't gone. He was closer. Now he was standing at the edge of the treadmill row, 2 rows over at the end of the lane, still in the hoodie, still facing me, still no face. My heart was doing something I didn't like. Not the good kind of pounding from exercise. The kind where your body decides that maybe, just maybe, you're in danger and it floods you with adrenaline whether you want it or not. My hands were shaking. My mouth was dry. "This isn't funny," I said. My voice cracked. "If this is some kind of prank, I swear to God." He raised one hand, slow, deliberate, and pointed at me, not with an index finger, with his whole hand, like he was gesturing to a piece of art he wanted someone to notice. I turned around. There was nothing behind me, just the wall, the emergency exit sign, and my own shadow stretched long under the fluorescent lights. When I turned back, he was at the treadmill next to mine. I could smell him now, not cologne or sweat or anything human. It was the smell of a basement after a flood. Wet concrete, rot, something electrical burning. And underneath that, the faint, sweet stench of flowers that have been left in water too long. I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. Not on the treadmill. I sprinted toward the front door, my sneakers squeaking on the rubber floor. I didn't look back. I didn't grab my water bottle or my phone. I just ran. The door was locked. I pushed the panic bar. Nothing. I pushed it again, harder, throwing my whole weight against it. The glass rattled but didn't give. I looked out into the parking lot. My car was still there. The lights were still on. But the world beyond the glass looked wrong too, still like a photograph. No wind, no stars, just darkness pressed against the windows like a second skin. Behind me I heard a sound, soft, rhythmic, footsteps, not running, walking, slow and steady, like someone who knew exactly where I was going to be. I turned around. He was standing in the middle of the gym floor now. All the lights had dimmed except for one directly above him, making his hoodie glow an ugly, sickly yellow. And his face, God, his face was still blank, but I could see something moving underneath, like something was trying to push through from the inside. A suggestion of features, a mouth that wasn't there yet, opening and closing. "Please," I whispered. I don't know what I was asking for. Mercy? An explanation? A way out? He took another step. The floor didn't creak. The air didn't move. But I felt something in my chest. A pressure. Like he was already inside my lungs. And then he spoke. His voice didn't come from his facade, came from everywhere. The speakers, the vents, the walls, even the mirrors hummed with it. "You saw me first." That's when I understood. He wasn't following me because ID noticed him. He was following me because I was the only one who could notice him. The gym wasn't empty because it was late. It was empty because everyone else had learned not to look. And I had looked. Oh God, I had looked. I closed my eyes. I don't know why, maybe because children think if they can't see the monster can't see them. But I felt him get closer, felt the temperature drop, felt his breath cold, so called on my cheek. Open your eyes, he said. Not a command. Promise. I did. And he was gone. The lights were normal. The door was unlocked. My phone was still on the treadmill, the podcast still playing, the host talking about a hiker who vanished in the Smokies. I grabbed my things and ran to my car. Drove home without music, without radio, without anything but the sound of my own breathing. I checked my mirrors the whole way. Every single one. He wasn't there. But I knew would be. Because that's how it works. Once you see something like that, you're never really alone again. You just go back to pretending you are. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment with all the lights on, watching the corners, waiting for the gray hoodie to appear in the reflection of my TV screen. It never did. But the next morning, when I brushed my teeth, the mirror in my bathroom was fogged up. I hadn't taken a shower. I hadn't run the sink. And in the fog, someone had written 4 words. You saw me first. I wiped it away, but the fog came back. It always comes back. Story 2. I thought I was alone during my late-night workout. 3 weeks later, I went back to the gym. I know. You're thinking, Emma, what the hell is wrong with you? And you'd be right to think it. Any sane person would have canceled their membership, moved to a different state, maybe changed their name. But hey, race the thing about being human. We're really good at convincing ourselves that things didn't happen the way we remember. By day 3, I told myself it was a panic attack. By day 7, I downgraded it to low blood sugar and too much true crime. By day 14, I was almost normal again. Almost. But I couldn't stop thinking about the mirrors. Not because I was scared, because I was curious. That's my fatal flaw, I think. When someone tells me not to push a door, I have to know what's on the other side. When something hides its face, I have to see what's underneath. So on a Thursday night, 11:30 p.m., same as before, I parked in the same spot, walked through the same doors, and breathed in the same bleach and regret smell. The front desk was still empty. The protein shake was gone, replaced by a different one. Same skin on top. I told myself I was proving that nothing was there, that I was taking back control, that fear is just a chemical reaction, and I am smarter than my own amygdala. That's what I told myself. I didn't go to the treadmills this time. I went to the weight room. It was smaller, fewer mirrors, more angles. And I brought company, not a person, but a camera. One of those little body cams that hikers use. I clipped it to my tank top and pressed record. November 14th, late night workout, I said to the lens. Let's see if anything weird happens. Spoiler, something weird happened. I started with squats. Basic. 3 sets of 10, just to warm up. The weight room had these floor-to-ceiling mirrors on 3 walls, so no matter where I looked, I saw myself. Red-faced, ponytail crooked, determination that looked a lot like terror, if you knew how to read it. For the first 15 minutes, nothing. Just the clank of weights, the squeak of my shoes, the quiet hum of the ventilation system. I started to relax. Maybe nothing would happen. Maybe the man in the hoodie had been a one-time thing, a glitch in the matrix, a waking dream. Then I noticed the treadmill room. The weight room had a window looking out onto the cardio area. Just a big sheet of glass, smudged with fingerprints and dust. I could see the rows of treadmills, the ellipticals, the stationary bikes. All empty, all still, except for one. The treadmill ID used 3 weeks ago, third from the left. Middle of the row was running. Not fast. A slow, steady walk. And on it, someone was walking. Gray hoodie, hood up, facing the mirror. My blood turned to ice water. Not because he was there, I'd half expected that, but because of the way he was walking. He wasn't holding the handlebars. His arms hung at his sides, swinging slightly, like a soldier marching. And his head was turned toward the window, toward me. Even though he didn't have a face, I could feel him smiling. I should have left. I should have run out the fire exit and driven to a police station and never looked back. But remember what I said about curiosity? It's not a cute personality trait. It's a disease. I walked to the window. He stopped the treadmill, stepped off, walked toward the glass. On his side of the window, the lights flickered. On my side, they held steady. I watched him approach, his reflection moving in a dozen panes of glass behind him, and I realized something that made my stomach drop. He didn't have a reflection. The mirrors behind him were empty. The glass of the window, I should have seen his reflection in it, too. But all I saw was me, pale, sweating, eyes wide. He pressed his hand against the glass. It didn't make a sound, but I felt a vibration, deep in my chest, like a cello string plucked too hard. "You came back," he said, that same everywhere voice, coming from the vents, the speakers, the fluorescent tubes above my head. Couldn't speak. My throat was closed up, my tongue a dead weight. "I was lonely," he said, "and I swear, there was something sad in it, something almost human. No one looks at me, no one sees me, until you. What are you?" The words came out in a whisper, barely audible. He tilted his head. The hood slipped back an inch, and I caught a glimpse of what was underneath. Not skin, not bone, just darkness. The kind of darkness that has weight, the kind that breathes. "In what happens when a place gets left alone too long," he said. "In the thought you don't finish, the reflection you don't check, the corner of your eye that never quite focuses. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." He pulled his hand away from the glass. There was a mark left behind, not a fingerprint, but something else. A shape, a symbol. It looked like an eye, but wrong. Too many lashes, too round. "Don't come back here, Emma." He said my name. He said my name. I had never told him. I had never worn a name tag, never spoken it out loud in that building. But he knew. Of course he knew. "If you come back again," he continued, "I won't just watch." "What will you do?" He didn't answer. He just turned around and walked back to the treadmill, climbed on, started walking, facing the mirror again, ignoring me like I was the ghost. I stood there for a long time, 5 minutes, maybe 10, watching him walk endlessly on a machine that wasn't plugged in. The belt moved, but it didn't make a sound. The display was dark. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked backward to the weight room door, never taking my eyes off the window, pushed through, ran down the hall, grabbed my bag, didn't stop until I was in my car, doors locked, engine running. The parking lot was empty. The gym lights were off. I sat there for a long time, shaking, trying to figure out if any of that had been real. Then I remembered the body cam. I pulled it off my shirt, hands trembling, and scrolled back to the beginning of the recording. There I was doing squats, checking my form, muttering to myself. Everything was normal. Then I reached the part where I walked to the window. On the recording, I walked to the window, stopped, stared at the glass, stared for a very long time. But on the recording, the treadmill room was empty. No gray hoodie, no figure on the machine. Just me, looking at nothing, talking to no one. The audio, though, the audio picked up something. "What are you?" my voice said. And then, faint but unmistakable, a reply. "In what happens when a place gets left alone too long." Played it again, and again, and again. That voice, that everywhere voice coming through my phone's tiny speaker, filling the car with something that felt ancient and cold. I deleted the video, wiped the memory card, threw the camera in a dumpster behind a gas station. But that night, when I got home and washed my face, the bathroom mirror was fogged again. The same 4 words. But underneath, someone had added more. You saw me first. You came back. Now you're mine. I didn't sleep. I haven't slept well since. And every time I pass a Aurora window, a phone screen, a spoon, anything reflective, I catch a glimpse of something behind me. Something tall. Something in a gray hoodie. I never turn around to look anymore. But sometimes I don't have to. Sometimes I see him in front of me, standing in the reflection, waiting for me to make eye contact. And I know that if I do, he'll step through. Story 3. Something was following me between the rows of treadmills. This is the part one don't like to talk about. Not because it's scary, though it is, God, it is, but because it makes me sound crazy. And I'm not crazy. I've been tested. 3 different therapists, 2 psychiatrists, 1 very patient primary care doctor who prescribed me something for anxiety that doesn't work, but which I take anyway because what else am I supposed to do? They all say the same thing. You experienced a traumatic event. Your brain is trying to protect you by creating patterns where there are none. The man in the hoodie is a manifestation of your fear of being alone. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just a woman who works too much, sleeps too little, and has an overactive imagination fueled by late-night internet deep dives. But then I find the notes. Not in my handwriting. Folded pieces of notebook paper, left in places I know I didn't put them. Inside my cereal box, tucked into my sock drawer, between the pages of a book I haven't opened in years. They say the same thing every time. The treadmills are not empty. You just aren't looking hard enough. I've thrown them away, burned them, ripped them into confetti and flushed them down the toilet. They always come back. New paper, new pen, same words. Last night, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove back to the gym. Not at night this time, midday, when the parking lot was full and the front desk had a real, live human being named Marcus who smiled and asked how my day was going. Good, I lied. Just here for a quick workout. Marcus nodded. Cool. We got a new spin class at 6 if you're interested. Maybe next time. I walked past him, past the protein shake counter, past the locker rooms. The gym was busy. People everywhere. A woman on the leg press, grunting through her last rep. A guy doing bicep curls while staring at his phone. 2 teenagers on the elliptical, laughing at something on TikTok. Normal, safe, bright. I went to the treadmill room. It was half full. A few runners, a few walkers, a woman doing intervals who looked like she could run a marathon backward while solving a Rubik's Cube. I picked a treadmill in the back corner far from the mirrors, close to the exit, and started a slow jog. For 20 minutes, nothing. Just the rhythm of my feet, the hum of the machines around me, the distant thump of someone's terrible EDM music. I almost felt okay, almost normal. Then the lights flickered. Just once. Just a blink. But when they came back on, the treadmill room was empty. Every machine was still running. The belts were still moving. Shoes still squeaked somewhere. But the people, the woman on the interval run, the teenagers, the bicep curling guy, they were gone. Like they'd never been there at all. I looked toward the front desk. Marcus was still there, sitting in his chair, scrolling through his phone. But when I waved at him, he didn't wave back. He didn't look up. He just kept scrolling, his thumb moving across the screen, his face completely blank. Marcus? I called. No response. I looked at the other treadmills. They were all running now. Every single one. 30 treadmills, all set to different speeds, all with no one on them. And between the rows, walking slowly, was the man in the gray hoodie. He wasn't just following me anymore. He was hurting me. I stepped off my treadmill, back toward the wall. He matched my pace, moving between the machines like a shark between waves. His hood was down now, and I saw his face for the first time, really saw it. It wasn't blank. It was every face ID ever seen, all at once, layered over each other like tracing paper. My mother's eyes, my third-grade teacher's nose, the mouth of a boy I kissed in college and forgot until right now. My own face, at the bottom of it all, younger and terrified. "You kept looking," he said. His voice was softer now, intimate, like a secret he was telling only me. "No one ever keeps looking. What do you want from me? To see me, really see me, not as a monster, as what I am." "And what's that?" He stopped moving, stood at the end of the row between treadmill 7 and 8. The belts were still running, but they didn't touch him. He was there and not there, solid and transparent, all at once. "I'm the part of you that's always been alone, even in a crowd, even with people who love you. That quiet voice that says no one really knows you, and if they did, they wouldn't stay." I felt my eyes fill with tears, not from fear, from something worse. Recognition. "I'm not a ghost, Emma. I'm not a demon. I'm just the loneliness you've been carrying since you were a kid. The one you never let anyone see. I've been following you your whole life. You just never turned around before." "That's not true," I whispered. "I have friends. I have family. Do you tell them about the dreams? About the nights you lie awake and wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared?" I couldn't answer, because he was right. I don't tell anyone that. I smile and say I'm fine and post pictures of brunch and pretend that the hollow feeling in my chest isn't getting bigger every year. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I'm here because you invited me. Every time you looked in a mirror and didn't like what you saw. Every time you stayed late at work because going home to an empty apartment felt worse. Every time you chose the treadmill at night because at least the gym was something, even if it wasn't enough." He took a step closer. I didn't run. "I'm not the monster, Emma. I'm the mirror." And then he reached out, not with a hand, but with something like one, and touched my chest, right over my heart. It didn't hurt. It felt like coming home to a house you forgot you'd lived in. The lights came back on. The people were there again. The interval runner, the teenagers, the bicep-curling guy. Marcus was waving at someone by the door. Everything was normal. The man in the gray hoodie was gone. But I felt him, inside me now, not as a possession or a curse, just as a presence, a reminder, a weight I'd been carrying all along. I finished my workout, drove home, made dinner, watched TV, went to bed, and when I looked in the bathroom mirror that night, it wasn't fogged. There were no words, just my face, tired, human, alone, but not empty, because something was following me between the rows of treadmills. Something always had been, and now, finally, I'd turned around to face it. I don't go to the gym at night anymore. I go in the morning, when the sun is up and the room is full of people. I wave at Marcus. I do my sets. I leave before dark, but sometimes, when I'm on the treadmill, I catch a reflection in the corner of my eye, a figure in a gray hoodie walking between the machines, not threatening, just there. And I don't look away anymore. I wave. He waves back. That's the thing about loneliness. It doesn't go away when you stop running from it, but it does get quieter, smaller, less like a monster and more like a shadow. And sometimes that's enough. I still don't sleep great. I still work too late. I still stare at my phone, waiting for texts that don't come. But I'm not afraid of the mirrors anymore. Because the man in them, he was never the danger. The danger was believing I had to face him alone. I don't know if this story has a moral. Maybe it's just something that happened to me and I'm telling it to you so that someone else will know. If you see something in the mirrors at night, you don't have to run. You can look. You can ask what it wants. You can even let it stay, as long as you remember that it's part of you. Just don't forget to look away sometimes, too, because the mirrors are patient. They'll wait. They always do.